Welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the week of January 17th, 2022. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's program, we're going to continue our first of the year series here, first of this New Year's series, on new programs and services ACAP is offering in 2022 to our Aroostook County community. We're going to broaden that a little bit this month, or this week, I should say, and talk about how we're offering new services in partnership with two sister CAP organizations in 5 counties, 4 aside from Aroostook County. And we're going to do that in just a little bit when we talk about the Breakthrough Youth Program with some familiar faces and a new face from our partners in Washington and Hancock County working on the Breakthrough Youth Program. But before we get to that, we're going to first get to the news and information that you can use again for this week of the 17th of January 2022. We begin with our news and information this week with sharing with you that our prevention team in partnership with SAD1 will begin to offer the American Lung Association's Freedom from Smoking course that will be held through MSAD1 Adult Education. And it begins this week with sessions on the 18th, on the 25th, as well as in February on the 1st, 8th, 10th, 15th, and 22nd, and rounding out on March 1st. We certainly encourage folks to take advantage of this opportunity. Elaine Sype will be facilitating the course, an ACAP team member, again in partnership with MSAD1 Adult Education. We certainly encourage you to reach out to Elaine. The information for reaching Elaine is there on your screen in terms of being able to connect and being able to get into this special offering of the Freedom from Smoking opportunity. In this class, you'll learn all about how quitting can happen if you're really ready to quit. Also, things that can support you through that, such as medication, lifestyle changes, and how to prepare for your big quit day. So new year, a great way to start out a new year if you are using tobacco products and really want to become smoke-free, to consider joining this new opportunity here at the beginning of the year. So we encourage that for all of you out there. And give us a call here at ACAP if we can help with that. We also want to notify you that the new tax season, tax preparation season has begun, and ACAP in partnership with United Way, New Ventures Maine, and a number of others that comprise the Aroostook Cash Coalition sponsored by the County Federal Credit Union are reminding folks that households who have a combined income of less than $58,000 are eligible for this free tax preparation service. And we certainly encourage you to dial 211, reach out and connect with 211 Maine, or visit cashmaine.org to schedule your appointment. Appointments will begin shortly. In addition to those appointments to have tax preparation done, some of which will be done at ACAP locations across Aroostook County, you'll also have the opportunity to connect with a cash coach after the tax session. Some of those are ACAP employees who will help you with how to maybe manage the additional windfall that you might have coming to you as a result of a tax return. So those are services that are again offered in partnership between ACAP, United Way of Aroostook, New Ventures Maine, County Federal Credit Union, and others across Aroostook County and across the state of Maine. We also want to share with you another new program, and I think we'll be talking about this in the coming weeks, that we have in partnership with the Maine Cancer Foundation. It is the Project Teach, where we're helping to provide transportation, education, access, care, and housing through a partnership with the Maine Cancer Foundation, as I indicated. ACAP is encouraging anyone who is facing challenges attending oncology appointments due to transportation or lodging issues to contact our own Andrea White here at ACAP to learn more about this program. We'll be getting more information obviously out into the community as the program continues to come along, but there are no income guidelines. So this is something that I know folks who participate in a number of ACAP programs or don't think that you have to have a certain income to participate in these programs. That's not the case with this program. The goal is simply to ensure all cancer patients do have the necessary tools to receive the care they need, specifically where it relates to getting to those appointments and being able to hold them, as that's a critical part of the journey of healing. So we certainly encourage you to reach out to Andrea here at the agency if we can be of any assistance to you with transportation or lodging related to oncology treatment. We also want to remind folks, as we have been all along throughout this pandemic, and since vaccinations have been available for just a little over a year now, that anyone now age 5 and older is eligible to receive COVID-19 vaccinations. The link there to the Maine Gov website will help you find a local vaccination clinic. We also want to remind folks that if transportation is an issue, there is a free vaccine ride program that you can connect through the Department of Health and Human Services with a 48-hour notice. This also qualifies for boosters, so we certainly encourage you folks to take advantage of the vaccination appointments nearest you. If you are unable to log on to the site or unable to make an appointment for whatever reason, you can certainly call our agency. We have a team of receptionists that are available to help you navigate any online tool to help set an appointment for yourself for COVID-19 vaccination. And the COVID-19 booster doses, as we've been talking about, again, are available. They are now available for anyone age 12 and older. And the considerations for that, if you are wondering, are at least 5 months after your second Pfizer shot, or 6 months after your second Moderna shot, or just 2 months after your J&J shot. So if you qualify for that, we certainly encourage you to get that, especially with the prevalence of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 pandemic at this point. We encourage all to get their booster shot. And we also want to remind folks, as it relates to the pandemic, that ACAP, along with community action agencies across the state, are offering social support services or community support services for individuals who are asked to isolate or quarantine. This can include deliveries of groceries at no charge to you, not for the groceries, not for the delivery to your home. So if for any reason you are asked to isolate or quarantine and need any of the services that are listed here on the screen, including that grocery delivery or shelter and assistance so that you can isolate away from others, please do give us a call here at ACAP. You can also go online to complete the referral for that through the Department of Health and Human Services. If you have a loved one or family members or friends in other parts of the state, you can also access this service through the Department of Health and Human Services and get that information to you. To them and log on and get a community action agency in the area to go and make the delivery of those services. We also want to remind folks, as it relates to the emergency rental assistance program, that applications for that are still available. If you are meeting the income qualification guidelines, and at this point, given the increased cost of a number of items, including groceries and fuel oil, if you meet the income qualification guidelines, you essentially qualify for the emergency rental assistance program if you are in fact a renter. So we encourage folks to consider applying for that. You can find the information at mainehousing.org/COVID rent. And we, again, will work through processing that application. It takes about 4 to 8 weeks for individuals to receive notification of or payment on the rental assistance. And we encourage you, again, if you are in need of any assistance with your rent at this point, to please consider applying for that program. We also are continuing to offer the Home Energy Assistance Program here in Aroostook County for individuals who qualify per the income guidelines here on this screen. This is especially helpful this season for individuals who have experienced a reduction in hours or change in employment status or income status in their household. And if that's happened even within just the last month, we encourage you to reach out to us, because as you can see here on the screen, if your income for a household of one has fallen under $2,433 in just the last month, the odds are you qualify for the Home Energy Assistance Program. So please do reach out for an appointment as the season continues here, and as we head thankfully and hopefully toward the spring months. There are fewer and fewer appointments on the schedule, so it's easier to get in for an appointment, and we encourage you folks out there to do that if you think you are income eligible or want to learn more about the program in any way. We also want to remind folks that our ACAP community cupboard, we have community cupboards in different locations throughout Aroostook County. 2 are supported by ACAP at ACAP locations, one at our Holton Center on the inside of the facility, and one at our 771 Main Street Presque Isle facility near Walmart. That's the picture of this one here. We are encouraging any community organizations, businesses, and even families and individuals who would like to sponsor the community cupboard for a month to join us in this effort. It is based on the give what you can, take what you need philosophy, and we have folks at all hours that utilize this to help prevent their own food insecurity. And we're grateful for the many people who do drop off donations, but if you adopt it for the month for $500, we'll stock it with non-perishable food items. or you can, as a sponsor, choose to have your organization, your family, your business help us stock it for a month as well, and keep consistently food stock in the pantry. So we want to encourage anybody who wants to consider supporting us in this food security challenge to do so. And lastly, in this week's news and information you can use, if you or your family or household are in need of any assistance, and we haven't talked about it here in this program, ACAP has a number of other programs. We also have great partnerships with other community social service providers who, if we don't have the program, they might have the program, and we're happy to help navigate you to those programs. Please give us a call at 764-3721 and let us help you, especially at this most challenging time. And with that, that's this week's news and information you can use again for the week of the 17th of January, 2022. We are now pleased to welcome to the program, I'm now pleased to welcome to the program, two individuals who just recently were on ACAP Today when we were talking about New Year's resolutions, and we're not that deep into the new year, but we're so pleased to have them back to talk about one of ACAP's new programs, and it really transcends beyond ACAP, and we'll hear why that is in just a moment. But of course, that's Meg Hegemann, ACAP's Coordinator of Prevention Services. Meg, welcome back to ACAP Today.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
And Brynn Wilcox spoke to us a little bit about this program in the past, but she's going to really go in depth, and she's responsible for the coordination on a daily basis of ACAP's Breakthrough Youth Program. Brynn, welcome back to ACAP Today. You did such a great job last time. We were very eager to get you back on, and today we get to talk about the area that you really specialize in.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right. And then lastly, as we'll learn shortly from Meg about this program, it's a partnership program that covers the 5 northeasternmost counties of our state: Aroostook, Washington, Hancock, Penobscot, and Piscataquis County. 2 of those counties are covered by our sister CAP agency, Downeast Community Partners. And Steve and Tilney, you are with Downeast Community Partners, and we want to just let folks know, we apologize in advance. That is actually Steve, and that's his picture. We're unable to connect his camera. There must be something in the cold temperatures that are preventing the camera transmission coming in between Washington, Hancock, and Aroostook County. But we're so happy to have you with us, Stephen, and eager to learn how you are doing things in Washington and Hancock County for the Breakthrough Youth Program. So welcome to ACAP Today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So Meg, why don't we start with you right at the top, talking about the Breakthrough Youth Program and what it is, so that folks are familiar with it, and how it came to be that we're working in 5 counties on this program.
Sure. So Breakthrough Youth is a brand new program, and so it's very exciting. We, of course, received the funding, started developing the program, and then had pandemic hit and kind of wreak havoc. So it's a little bit slower to get started than we had initially hoped. The good thing about that actually is that it has really given us some time to adapt to emerging needs, to get updated and newer curriculum included, and to really think more creatively about how we can present and the different methodologies that we can use. So I think, though it may have been delayed a little bit, it's only going to result in a much better, more interactive, more fun community building program. So ultimately, I think that's going to serve folks really well.
It does. It sounds like it has a lot of different aspects to it. Before we get into those, talk about how the partnership happened. Stephen's joining us from Downeast Community Partners, but why we're looking at a program that ACAP is involved with 4 other counties and 2 other CAP agencies with.
Absolutely. So the funder that makes this program possible was looking for entities that could support programming in larger chunks of the state. So there are only 3 entities around the state that are providing services of one sort or another. And so we were thrilled to be able to work with Penquis to cover Penobscot and Piscataquis counties, and with Downeast Community Partners. It really enables us to better be prepared to offer in a variety of ways. So we're able to have folks cross-trained. So if we are able to do some things virtually, then they don't have to be physically located in Presque Isle or in Holton or Fort Kent, and vice versa. So if we have a lot of different opportunities happening down in Washington and Hancock counties, and Stephen gets stretched a little too thin or can't be in 2 places at once, then Brynn is able to offer support there as well. We felt like it was really important particularly in such rural counties, to be able to offer this kind of programming and support. And those challenges are similar, whether it's rural Washington County or rural Aroostook County. So being able to reach out beyond the borders. And sometimes our school districts and personnel don't pay much attention to county borders, right? So if somebody's down in Danforth or Katahdin Elementary School, those kinds of things, then there's a lot of collaboration that needs to happen as people go toward their natural places for shopping and workplaces and those kinds of things. So it's really nice to be able to offer these services throughout the 5 counties.
That's a very good point, because county borders are only really relevant, I guess, if you're working in government. It doesn't matter where you might go grocery shopping across county lines and get other services, especially in those areas. I guess we're so used to being up here in Aroostook County, especially those of us who live in central and northern Aroostook County, that it's either this county or Canada. Canada hasn't been a possibility for the last 2 years. So here we are. Brynn Wilcox, it sounds like an exciting program. Why don't you take us through some of the facets of what Breakthrough Youth is and how we can expect our community to be engaged in this program?
Sure. So Breakthrough Youth itself is actually 4 components that make up one course. So there's a financial literacy piece. We use the FDIC's Money Smart curriculum to teach about what it costs to actually rent an apartment, the difference between like a credit and a debit card. Do you want to lease a car? Do you want to buy a car? Do you want to finance a car? Things that like we as adults understand and have learned through experience, but sometimes that learning experience has been rough and learning by error. So hopefully we'll be able to give them the learning without some of the more detrimental aspects that come with learning from trial and error. We've also got soft skills to pay the bills that just teaches them general like employment skills. So teamwork, communication, how to prep for a job interview, just skills that are important, not just for jobs, but for just day-to-day life and functioning as successful adults. We also have Making Proud Choices, which is our sexual ed component. We are funded partially by TANF, so it's really important that we talk to youth about preventing not only STIs, but unwanted pregnancies, as those tend to be huge setbacks to anyone, not just youth, but youth in particular. We also have, as a final component, Crime for Life, which just talks about the dangers of and how to prevent drug and alcohol abuse and misuse prevention. And so all of those come together. It sounds like a lot, but Stephen and our counterpart, Anna, with Penquist, have, I think, created a really engaging and I'd say fun curriculum to walk the groups of youth through this. My class, all of our classes will look different. It'll look different in every county because we're all different people teaching it. And we have county lines matter in government work, but also culturally, there's a difference between Aroostook County and Washington County. So my delivery will look different than Stephen's, but I think that'll make our program stronger. We're also focusing a lot on building a community. So rather than going into schools and working with adult eds in Van Buren, Presque Isle, and Holton, as well as offering a class that's open to anyone in the surrounding community at the Presque Isle Housing Authority community room. That way, maybe students who otherwise wouldn't see or get to interact and learn from each other because they go to 2 different schools will get, or maybe they don't even go to school, will get to come together and build even more community and be more inclusive and connected. It's so important, especially during COVID.
Absolutely, Brynn, and it sounds very comprehensive. It does sound like fun, and it sounds like there's a lot of information there, but it really sounds like it tackles all of the issues that are facing youth today, and sort of is consistent with the work that we're doing here at ACAP to try to address all of the concerns of any population group that we're working with. And what I heard Stephen Tilney from what Brynn said is that there's opportunities really to have the program, the Breakthrough Youth Program, reflect the local communities. And so you're covering both Washington and Hancock counties, and there are differences even between those two counties, and I suspect even between regions within those two counties, like we have here in Aroostook. How has your start with this program sort of led you to think, gosh, this is a really good and effective program in terms of what we can do, because it really does tailor to the local need?
As an educator for the past 7 years before I started this, I really had a chance to kind of have my finger on what the youth kind of needed within Washington County, at least. And so I kind of had the ability to see what was really important for them. As far as Hancock, I really haven't had much experience with a lot of their youth, but I would assume that it's fairly similar to some extent, with the exception of maybe some of the economic or socioeconomic issues that kind of come up day to day and week to week and year to year for a lot of the youth within Washington County. I know it's fairly similar to Hancock, but I feel like overall, it's been a really good experience.
Great. Now, Brynn talked about some of the sessions that are coming up here in Aroostook County, partnerships with a few local adult educations, and then a general session. How are you rolling this program out in Washington and Hancock County?
I've mostly been focusing a lot of my outreach on the schools. Probably around October, November, I kind of did a lot of cold calling for a lot of the local high schools, calling their guidance counselors, calling their principals, sometimes the superintendents, the directors of guidance. I haven't really focused much on the adult education pieces, but I'm actually starting that outreach now. With that in mind, we're set to have our first cohort start in Machias at a local high school, and we're excited about it. And I just got some really good news about that today, so I'm eager to see that come into fruition.
Let me ask you what you're seeing in terms of some of the most prevalent issues with working with the youth, not with working with them, but the actual challenges with the youth, and some of the barriers that you're hoping to break through in the counties that you're covering. And then I'll come back and ask Brynn that same question.
I feel like communication is a big one, open and honest communication. And I would hope that through this program, we have the ability to teach more open and honest communication between adults and students, or youth or young adults, because I feel like a lot of times that communication gets lost, and those barriers really do need to be broken for them to find a lot more success with their lives moving forward.
And Brynn, your thoughts about Aroostook County youth?
So I'll kind of echo what Stephen said about communication, but also just the feeling of connectedness and community. I'm born and raised in Aroostook County. I've been here, save for a few months here and there, my whole life. And I'm 25, so I'm technically not a youth. But
the lived experience of the two of you is a lot more recent than Meg and mine. I'm just going to say, you know.
I have to clarify that I'm not a youth. But there is often a gap in programming and outreach and this feeling of connectedness to your community from the time you turn 13 to the time you're an adult. And my hope with Breakthrough Youth is that we can start to bridge that gap and show anyone ages 14 to 24 that there are adults and people in this community who care about you, who want you to stay and be connected. And be successful. And hopefully in building those connections, Aroostook County is an aging county. It'll help us keep people here, keep young people here, or maybe they leave and come back. But I think it's super important to build that connection with young people.
So in that regard, I think there's even an economic development connection to this, because one of the things that I work with economic development groups is about sort of that population retention, population growth opportunity. I know that Brynn's going to walk me through an exercise, put me through my paces, as I usually count on our prevention team to do on ACAP today. But Meg, as you listen to Stephen and Brynn talk about the rolling out of this program, I know it's been something that you've been working on for many, many months in terms of getting this program out there to the community. But it's also really something that fits nicely with some of the other programs that you offer here at ACAP. So talk a little bit about how the work that you're doing with all of our prevention programs is really interconnected. We talked in our news segment about some of your prevention programs, but a lot of the things that Brynn and Stephen have talked about in terms of challenges and opportunities facing youth are not unfamiliar territory for some of your other programs.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that we really agency-wide are looking at, is how to do as much work collaboratively as possible. And so similar to, as you mentioned, with the Maine Cancer Foundation funds and that project being not income-based, so it's available to everyone regardless of income, that is also true for our prevention programs. So the smoking cessation classes that were mentioned during News You Can Use, there's no income guideline for that. So it doesn't matter if you are smoking and you want to live tobacco-free, then sign up. We'd love to have you. And so that is also true for Breakthrough Youth. So it has similar elements. Prime for Life is a component of Breakthrough Youth. It's also a curriculum that is offered through county high schools, both through Power Prevention and through Drug-Free Aroostook. And so there are some students who may have already had that, which is another point, that if you have already had that curriculum, you don't have to retake it through Breakthrough Youth. We will consider that as having been accomplished. And similarly, if folks have done financial literacy through Jobs for Maine graduates through that program or something like that, then they don't have to redo that particular component. That said, the community building sure happens the more that people hang out together. So we encourage that. But I think that's, so there is a tie-in also to other ACAP programs that are more income-based. And so for young people who might be eligible for one of our workforce development programs, the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act, the WIOA youth program, is an option for them. And that's one of the things that we're really working on, is making sure that anyone who connects with any ACAP program, that part of what we can discuss is how you may be eligible for other supports and services as well. So we can really encourage families to address all of those needs. So if they need fuel assistance, absolutely, we can get you connected with our HEAP program or our emergency rental assistance program, or the whole host of services that ACAP provides. So Breakthrough Youth is one. It's another entry point, and it's open to anyone from any part of the county with any income. And as long as your ages 14 to 24, then we want to have you involved. Look forward to meeting you in the program.
Sounds like a great program that brings all of those components to bear, from your health and well-being to your financial well-being to, just to making smart choices. All of it's kind of brought in, and certainly knowing the concerns and challenges that our youth are facing today, especially as they've been exacerbated, I think, through this pandemic, that a program like this is something that even their parents may want to look into and provide some encouragement. I know that it's a program designed for youth, but it might be a program that would help parents connect with youth in a different way. Especially
young parents, right? So one of the things that has been seen in our WIC program is actually that there are more and more kind of teenagers or young adults who are having children. And so this is a great opportunity actually for folks to come in, and it's quite possible, at least the classes that are being held at the Birch Street facility, if there's an opening for childcare, there's childcare in the same building. So those are some of the things that we can kind of try to help people address any barriers that they might have to participating. And what a more important time is there to learn about financial management and all of those things that you might not have had an opportunity to really dive into deeply. And now you're a young parent and really need to learn some of those skills. So we hope to work with folks of every background.
There's a lot in the curriculum in high school, but some of these critical steps have, because of so much being packed in there, have sort of fallen by the wayside in terms of financial literacy. And gosh, I can remember a home ec in my days in school and learning some of these things, and those opportunities just aren't there for youth anymore. So this is a great way to supplement the quality education that our local schools provide. Okay, Brynn Wilcox, this is your chance to your first opportunity to put me through my paces. Meg is well practiced on this, so go for it.
Okay, so part of what we do is I've created a couple of games, spin-offs of games they already know and hopefully like. So I've got some trivia questions for you, and there's no consequence if you get them wrong. I also don't have a prize if you get them right, but you get prizes if they get them right. So there's an incentive. I only have 5, so it shouldn't be too bad. So the first one we'll go down through. I tried to encompass everything, like all of breakthrough youth that they'll learn. So the first question is, what does STI stand for?
STI?
Yes.
I want to say, I was thinking you were going to say STD. Is it sexually transmitted? No, I'm like way off.
No, you're on the right track.
Okay, the infection,
yes.
the I is thrown. It is?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
STD is actually, it's sometimes used interchangeably. STD is actually kind of an antiquated term. We use infection now to kind of decrease the stigma around disease, because an infection is something you can treat. Usually we think of as a disease that someone has, and we want to put the people first. So exclusively in breakthrough youth, I will be using STI.
Okay, I've got to keep up with the vernacular. Thank you. I was on the right track. Appreciate that.
It changes so fast. And then the part of our Making Proud Choices curriculum is also talks a lot about HIV prevention and kind of dismantling the stigma around that. So this is the next question. What are 2 ways you cannot transmit HIV or STIs?
You cannot?
Yes.
Abstinence, and I would say use of prophylactics.
Yes.
I'm doing better, Meg. I'm doing better. Waiting for the curveball. There's always a curveball with Meg.
Part of the curriculum teaches them that like casual contact, like hugging or sharing a classroom or sharing like a drinking glass, won't transmit STIs or especially HIV, because for a while, and in some places there's still that belief that is a danger.
Hugging just seems like such a foreign concept after 2 years of pretty much being prohibited from doing it.
I know, maybe it should be like, maybe we should
forgot what that was.
HIV and COVID. We'll do both of them. Okay, we're moving on from Making Proud Choices. Okay, so what is the difference between a grant and a student loan when it comes to financial aid?
Oh, I love this because I just this weekend helped my son with his FAFSA renewal. So a grant is a give me, I want more of those, and a student loan I have to pay back, and I want less of those.
Right. Yeah, we tell them grants are free money. So anytime you see grant at the end of whatever the title of the grant is, you take that.
Go grant, go grant. We love those here at ACAP too. Grants are like, we do grants here at ACAP.
Yeah, we're a big fan of those.
Yeah, big fan.
Okay, we're almost done. So which kind of card may accrue charges if it has a balance not paid in full each month?
Your that's a credit card.
Debit or credit card?
Credit, absolutely. And I didn't even have to phone my friend Wanda Osgood, who's the CFO. Usually on financial questions, I'm like, phone a friend. So good. I'm 2 for 2 on financial questions.
And then our final question is a true or false. So you got a 50-50 shot.
Okay.
So everyone is born with the same level of biological or hereditary risk when it comes to developing substance abuse disorders or problems.
I'm going to say false on that from previous education from the school of Meg Hegemann.
And you'd be correct. Part
See,
of
I learned something, Meg.
Your wife will also
Something
be
got
proud of you,
through.
Jason.
Something got through, Meg.
A big part of Prime for Life is talking about the how some people are biologically predisposed to be closer to their trigger points for addiction or substance abuse disorders. Part of it comes from your environment. I'm sorry if you can hear that. That's like their garbage is being taken out outside.
It's all good.
Yeah, some people, it is kind of a nature versus nurture, but there's a lot of nature that goes into substance abuse and misuse disorders. And it goes a long way in kind of taking away some of that shame and stigma. We want to make sure that even though they've made these choices to get here, there's always a way out. And sometimes you're just genetically predisposed to be more at risk by making the same choice that someone else maybe makes as well. So yeah, that's kind of those are the little tidbits, and those are actual questions. So if you're a youth watching and you memorize those and you come to my program, you'll get those ones right.
There we
So
go.
I'm not saying it's cheating, it's using your resource.
There you go. Absolutely. I've got my phone a friend, Meg Hegemann, and my phone a friend, Wanda Osgood, and I'm good. So, all right, well, before we wrap this up and I sort of ask if there's anything else that we missed, Stephen, let's connect with you in terms of how can people connect with you. I know we might not have the rock solid viewership in Washington and Hancock County that we do here in Aroostook County on ACAP Today, but I'm sure that we're going to put this out on Facebook, so somebody might pick it up down there. What ways should they best connect with you to connect with Breakthrough Youth?
Honestly, right now, the best way to connect with us through for Breakthrough Youth would be through the website, downeastcommunitypartners.org. There's a tab within that website that will put you directly to a referral that can be sent, and I'll eventually lay eyes on it.
Great. Reminder of any dates coming up that you might want to, dates or locations of things coming up that you might want to make folks aware of so that they can connect with your program through the community.
Currently not right now. I know I do, like I said before, I have my first cohort starting on the 26th, but outside of that, there is no pertinent dates.
Okay, so 26 coming right up. Is there any availability left in that cohort if people are hearing this and say, gosh, I want to get in on the ground level in that first cohort?
Totally. The only stipulation is they have to be a part of that high school. That was
okay. Which high school again?
That's Machias Memorial High School.
Okay, so if you are or know of a student going to Machias Memorial High School, you want to connect with Stephen Tilney. There's still room in that inaugural cohort, if you will. And from the sounds of it, you'll have fun. If Stephen wants to have me come in and answer 5 questions correctly or incorrectly, I'll zoom in and join in the fun there. Brynn Wilcox, let me bring the flyer for Aroostook County back up here so you can tell folks how they can connect with the programs here in Aroostook County, some of the opportunities you have coming up.
Sure. So we do have 2 2 classes that are open to the community. One is in partner and through SAD1 Adult Education right here in Presque Isle. That starts Wednesday, January 26th. It goes from 5 to 7 p.m. If you have like after school activities you still want to do and you want to come to Breakthrough Youth, this would be the session for you. There's no income guideline and it's absolutely free. There's no cost to the student or their families or even just the participant and their families. You don't have to be a student at any high school. You just got to be between the ages of 14 and 24. I'd love to have you. The SAD1 Adult Ed, you can register right online. If you go to msad1.maineadulted.org/classes, that'll bring you to their course registration page. And if you just search Breakthrough Youth, the registration will be right there. You can also just contact us at prevention@acap-me.org. And we can register you on the site if that's an issue or a hurdle. That will certainly not disqualify anyone. And then we have another session at the Presque Isle Housing Authority Community Room over on Birch Street starting February 1st from 3 to 5 p.m. So that'll be right after school. It's great if you want to kill a few hours. Maybe you don't want to ride the bus all the way home. Come kill a few hours, come kill a couple hours with us and learn a couple things. And that same thing, they can register at they can email us at prevention@acap-me.org, or they can call us at ACAP at 764-3721 and get in touch with me, and we'll sign them up from there.
And if they're looking at something in Northern Aroostook or Southern Aroostook, I think you mentioned partnerships with Adult Ed and Van Buren and Southern Aroostook as well. Are those forthcoming courses in those areas?
Yes. So if they are interested in the Van Buren or Holton ones, they would have to contact the directors at the Holton Adult Ed or at the Van Buren Adult Ed. Those are being held during the school day. So there's already a set cohort of students that are in that program.
Perfect. Okay, so
we're hoping to expand after this session.
Great. I know we do. We air on the cable access channels up in the St. John Valley, so folks up there are hearing it, and you have some interest, connect with Brynn. There's certainly opportunities to do additional opportunities up in the valley, in Van Buren or elsewhere. So let's just do one last roundtable to make sure that we got everything in that we wanted to talk about the Breakthrough Youth Program. I'm going to begin down with you in Downeast, Maine. Stephen Tilney, your any last pieces of information that you wanted to get out that you haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
No, I'm just really excited to see this kind of come into fruition. I was kind of brought on back in, I believe, April of 2021, and I'm just excited to see this starting to kind of get up off the ground.
Well, we're excited about the partnership with you and your team down at DCP. We appreciate your partnership on many fronts, and certainly on this one as we bring these programs to the 5 northeasternmost counties of the state, and the opportunities to youth here in our respective counties who all could benefit from this programming. Brynn Wilcox, your last thoughts or anything that we've sort of left on the cutting room floor?
Just that I am also super excited to get this program off the ground. I'm so ready to meet the youth that will be and the young adults that we'll be working with. I always feel like no matter what the program is, I always walk away learning, I think, almost as much as the participants do, just because I think that, like, especially in Aroostook County, we have so many awesome young people who hopefully we can connect with and just learn a lot from, and hopefully make them start to feel more connected to their communities. So I am so pumped to start this.
And Meg Hegemann, the last word on Breakthrough Youth in this program will be yours.
The only addition I would have is to reassure folks that the training that we're providing and the gatherings that we're encouraging, we're also taking every precaution to make sure that they are safe. So we have air purifiers that will be running in the rooms where we're meeting. We'll make sure that those are running ahead of time as well as during, and everyone will be masked during that activity. So we're going to do our best to connect people so that we have that interaction that is absolutely critical to improving our mental health, as well as keeping people physically safe.
Great last piece of information, and certainly worth mentioning in the environment today, Meg. So a good piece of information there. Meg Hegemann, Brynn Wilcox, Stephen Tilney, thank you so much for being my guests on this edition of ACAP Today. Before we leave all of you, just a couple of quick reminders as we do at the end of each broadcast. If you are inspired by what you're hearing in terms of the work of our agency, or know the work of our agency in the community and want to consider joining our team, we have several positions opened up across Aroostook County, and we would welcome you joining our team. We have a number of benefits that are listed there on your screen. You can also log on to our website or through our social media presence to see what opportunities we're currently offering. We'd love to have you join the ACAP team and would love to get an application from you. So please do consider that. If you think you have what it takes and have a passion for helping people make life better here in Aroostook County, we'd love to have you join us. And lastly, as we do at each point in ACAP Today, just before we leave you, our snapshot of the week. And since it's 2022 and ACAP's 50th anniversary, we've been doing a throwback snapshot of the week. And look at these lovely 1990s, late 1990s hairstyles and glasses and all the like here as we look at the opening of the Loring Commerce Center Child Care Center, which ACAP operated for a number of years. This was after the closure of Loring Air Force Base, a few years after the closure of Loring Air Force Base, where our team came together with, you can see a young Brian Hamill in that picture, and Connie Sandstrom, who's in the front row all the way to the right of that picture. Connie is the former CEO, my predecessor here at the Aroostook County Action Program. And so we're very glad to sort of see this picture of folks who are celebrating the opening of a new childcare center. And we've been opening some new programs here in Aroostook County for childcare, as there's a great need for those services now. A programming note before we leave you, you see Connie Sandstrom there in this image. Connie will be among our 3 guests on next week's ACAP Today, when we take a little departure from some of the new programs that ACAP is offering to have one of our 50th anniversary flashback series. Connie will join me, as well as Norm Fournier, who was the first executive director of the Aroostook County Action Program after the merger between the St. John Valley Community Action Agency and Aroostook County, or Central Aroostook Community Action Agency at that time, to form ACAP back in 1972. And Brian Thibault, who was the former Chief Operating Officer, Chief Administrative Officer at Penquist, but the CEO in between Norm Fournier and Connie Sandstrom, will also be joining us. So it'll be me with the 3 former CEOs of the Aroostook County Action Program, sort of doing a retrospective look at the first 50 years of the Aroostook County Action Program. It will be a very special program, and it's our program next week. So be sure to tune in, whether you're watching on Facebook or other social media, or on the Valley Cable Access channels. We'll look forward to a good discussion. And for those of you up in the Valley, Norm Fournier, your native son from Eagle Lake, is looking forward to the conversation, and we're looking forward to having all 3 of them on the program. We'll be back next week with that very special edition. Until then, have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you then.